Alex Jones and Infowars.com present Charlie Sheen's 20 Minutes with the President, starring Charlie Sheen as Charlie Sheen and Barack Obama as Barack Obama. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Thank you so much for taking time out of your demanding schedule. My pleasure. The content of your request seemed like something I should carve out a few minutes for. I should point out that I voted for you, as your promises of hope and change, transparency and accountability, as well as putting government back into the hands of the American people, struck an emotional chord in me that I hadn't felt in quite some time, perhaps ever. And I appreciate that, Charlie. Big fan of the show, by the way. Sir, I can't even imagine when you might find the time to actually watch my show, given the measure of what you inherited. I have it TiVoed on Air Force One. Nice break from the traveling press corps. Not to be abrupt or to rush you, but you have 19 minutes left. I'll take that as an invitation to cut to the chase. I'm all ears, or so I've been told. Sir, in the very near future, we will be experiencing our first 9/11 anniversary with you as Commander-in-Chief. Yes, a very solemn day for our nation, a day of reflection, and yet a day of historical consciousness as well. Very much so, sir. Very much so indeed. Now, in researching your position regarding the events of 9/11 and the subsequent investigation that followed, am I correct to understand that you fully support and endorse the findings of the Commission report, otherwise known as the official story? Do I have any reason not to, given that most of us are presumably in touch with similar evidence? I really wish that were the case, sir. Are you aware, Mr. President, of the recent stunning revelations that 60% of the 9/11 commissioners have publicly stated that the government agreed not to tell the truth about 9/11 and that the Pentagon was engaged in deliberate deception about their response to the attack? I am aware of certain infighting during the course of their very thorough and tireless investigative process. Mr. President, it's hard to label this type of friction as infighting or make the irresponsible leap to thorough when the evidence I insist you examine regarding 6 of the 10 members are statements of fact. No disrespect, Mr. Sheen, but I have to ask, what is it that you seem to be implying with the initial direction of this discussion? I'm not implying anything, Mr. President. I am here to present the facts and see what you plan to do with them. Let me guess. Your facts, allegedly supporting these claims, are in the folders you brought with you. Good guess, Mr. President. Again, sir, these are not my opinions or assumptions. This is all a matter of public record, reported through mainstream media, painstakingly fact-checked and verified. You'll notice, sir, on page 1 of the dossier, dated August of '06 from the Washington Post, the statements of John Farmer, senior counsel to the 9/11 Commission, his quote stating, "I was shocked how different the truth was from the way it was described." He goes on to further state, the NORAD air defense tapes told a radically different story from what had been told to us and the public for 2 years. On pages 2 and 3, sir, are the statements, as well, from Commission Co-Chairman Thomas Kean and Lee Hamilton, Commissioners Bob Carey, Tim Roemer, and John Lehman, as well as the statements of Commissioner Max Cleland, an ex-senator from Georgia, who resigned, stating, "It's a national scandal. This investigation is now compromised. One of these days we will have to get to the full story because the 9/11 issue is just so important to America, but this White House wants to cover it up." He also describes President Bush's desire to delay the process as not to damage the '04 re-election bid. They suspected deception to the point where they considered referring the matter to the Justice Department for criminal investigation. Mr. President, this information alone is unequivocally grounds for a new investigation. Mistakes were clearly made but we as a people and as a country need to move forward. It is obviously in our best interest as a democratic society to focus our efforts and our resources on the future of this great nation and our ability to protect the American people and our allies from this type of terrorism in the coming years. Sir, how can we focus on the future when the commission itself is on record stating that they still don't know the truth? Even if what you say might, in some capacity, begin to approach an open discussion or balanced debate, I can't speak for or about the decisions certain commission members made during an extremely difficult period. Perhaps you should be interviewing them instead of me. Wait, don't tell me I was easier to track down than they were. Not exactly, sir, but let's be honest. You're the President of the United States, the leader of the free world. The buck stops with you. 9/11 has been the pretext for the systematic dismantling of our Constitution and Bill of Rights. Your administration is reading from the same playbook that the Bush administration foisted on America through documented secrecy and deception. Mr. Sheen, I'm having a difficult time sitting here and listening to you draw distorted parallels between the Bush-Cheney regime and mine. Mr. President, the parallels are not distorted just because you say they are. Let's stick to the facts. You promised to abolish the Patriot Act and then voted to reauthorize it. You pledged to end warrantless wiretapping against the American people and now energetically defend it. You decreed the practice of rendition and now continue it. You promised over and over again on the campaign trail that you would end the practice of indefinite detention, and instead you have expanded it to permanent detention of detainees without trial. This far exceeds the outrages of the former administration. Call me crazy, Mr. President, but is this not your record? Mr. Sheen, my staff and I authorized this interview based on your request to discuss 9/11 and deliver some additional information you're convinced I had not previously reviewed. Call me crazy, but it appears as though you've blindly wandered off topic. Sir, the examples I just illustrated are a direct result of 9/11. And I'm telling you that we must move forward. We must endure through these dangerous and politically challenging years ahead. Mr. President, we cannot move forward with a bottomless warren of unanswered questions surrounding that day and its aftermath. I read the official report. Every word, every page. Perhaps you should do the same. I have, sir, and so have thousands of family members of the victims. And guess what? They have the same questions I do, and probably a lot more. I didn't lose a loved one on that horrific day, Mr. President, and neither did you. But since then, I, along with millions of other Americans, lost something we held true and dear for most of our lives in this great country of ours. We lost our hope. And I'd like to believe that I'm here to restore that hope, to restore confidence in your leaders, in the system that the voting public choose through a peaceful transfer of power. Mr. President, are you aware of the number of days it took to begin the investigation into JFK's assassination? If memory serves, I believe it was 2 weeks. Close. 17 days to be exact. Are you aware, sir, how long it took to begin the investigation into Pearl Harbor? I would say again about 2 weeks. Close again, sir. 11 days to be exact. Are you aware, Mr. President, how long it took to begin the investigation into 9/11?